you very much. You don't have to applause. I do appreciate it, but it's unnecessary. But you are listening to Trucking Safety with me, Sam, because as I've explained in other episodes, if it wasn't, if my name wasn't Sam, this would be a very, very weird titled podcast. But lucky for you, lucky for me, my name is Sam. So thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Trucking Podcast, where we take trucking and we take, did I just say the wrong name for my podcast? I should probably take that up with the producer. No, this podcast is Trucking Safety with Sam Watts, where we take aspects of trucking and we talk about the safety, put them together and tell you why some of the safety parts are in trucking. Seems like trucking safety is never anyone's favorite thing to talk about. And I don't know why, because quite frankly, I find it very interesting. But, it's not the coolest department maybe in a trucking company, because that, of course, goes to IT. But no, it's not the coolest department. I get it. Okay. A lot of times we have to be the buzzkill on a lot of things that you're trying to do. And sorry. Okay. I think I can speak for the entire safety community when I say sorry for trying to protect you. Okay. That's all we're trying to do. Not trying to rain on anybody's parade. Just trying to make sure that, you don't end up in jail. Sorry. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way. Hey, one thing I'm not sorry about, though, is being partners and having a sponsor like Ewing Safety and Industrial. Okay, check them out at Ewing Safety. That's EWING Safety.com. Okay, make sure you check them out. So they've been posting a lot lately about a lot of partnerships that they've got as far as tools and brands that they carry. I'm telling you one thing, guys. It is just kind of obscene how much they can actually provide for you. Okay. If you need something, anything that has to do with safety or industrial stuff or, just anything. I mean, like I've said, their catalog is really, really thick. Okay. I mean, it's intimidating. So make sure that you check them out for all of your safety needs. EwingSafety.com, or swing down, visit their store in Morris, Illinois. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to hang out with you. I mean, they hung out with me for a while, which says a lot. Okay. But no, they are fantastic people. Make sure to check them out. EwingSafety.com. You won't be disappointed. And if you are, that's on you. Okay. So, like I said, we talk about trucking, we talk about safety. One of the things that I want to talk about today is pre-trips. Now, I am going to make a confession to all of you out there today about something that I failed at, okay? And you might be saying, just one thing? And I say, shut up, okay? There's one thing, and it has to do with pre-trips, okay? So, as we all know, pre-trips are extremely important. Okay, I don't think anyone's arguing that. If you're arguing that, you really shouldn't be in a safety role or really in trucking. Okay, pre-trips are important. You got to make sure that the equipment is good. You got to make sure it's safe. And if you don't want to do that, then really you should give up and find a new career, like, I don't know, being a human cannibal. I hear there's a need for that in the circus, but pre-trips. Okay, pre-trips are extremely important. Not only that, they're required. Okay, they're required by law. FMCSA makes you do a pre-trip. I might be getting a little ahead of myself here, though. I would recommend also doing a post-trip. Okay, I highly recommend doing a post-trip. Pre-trips are required. Post-trips, in my opinion, are required as well. The drivers that I watch, I make them do a post-trip as well, because if you do a pre-trip, everything looks great. And then you drive for, let's say, 500 miles. Do you know how much stuff can break or rattle loose on your truck that, looked great in a pre-trip, but now the post-trip is here, now you have rattled something loose or whatever. And that is kind of what my confession is today. So, my son Actually, so I've got 4 boys. And one of the things that we are kind of trying out as a family, because I think it's cool, they think it's cool. So we race go-karts. Okay. So I've got one son that's doing it right now because he had some availability in his calendar. And I thought, well, what the heck? I've got another kart here for one of my other boys, but it's got the same engine that, my class would run. So, I jumped in there as well. I'm here to tell you, okay, I'm pretty new at this. So is my son. My son came in at the end of the year, came in second in points in his class. I came in 12th in points in my class. Okay. I'm not going to tell you out of how many, but it was more than 12. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So anyways, but this isn't about that. But anyway, okay. So the last race, we are at the track. My son is out on the track. He's doing pretty good. I think he's got like a top 5 going. He might be in 6th place. I can't remember exactly, but he's doing pretty good. And second to last lap, all of a sudden I see the dreaded white smoke. Okay. If you know anything about engines, white smoke means that there's really no oil in the engine and you're starting to overheat and components of your engine are basically starting to shut down. Luckily, the track employees there also saw the white smoke. And so they were able to flag him down and pull him into the pits. And we got him in and we shut the engine off. And that's the nice thing is that the engine was still running. So nothing was seizing up on us. And you'll understand why I say that here in a second, because as he's pulling in, I'm looking at the back of the engine there and I can see that he is missing the cap on the oil tank. Okay. He's not missing the plug. The plug is still there, but the actual cap where you pour oil into, he's missing that cap. And what has happened is I never checked the cap before he went out to race. I didn't really realize that I needed to check the cap before. There's a lot of things on those karts that can kind of jar themselves loose, and we tighten those things up and make sure it all looks good. Never even thought to look at the oil cap. And sure enough, that jarred loose, which meant oil was pouring out of the back of the engine, which then proceeded to get onto the sprocket, which is what moves the chain, which is connected to the clutch. That's how the back wheels move. There's a sprocket. There's sprocket guards to make sure that the sprocket stays in place or protected. And oil got on that. And what happened was on the sprocket guards, we have these quick release bolts. So you don't have to use, the 2 hands to loosen the bolts. It's just a button, basically. You can push that and pull the bolts out. Well, with oil getting on there, that lubricated those up and caused one of the sprocket guards to fall off. And that in turn knocked off the fuel overfill tank holder, which caused that to get mangled. So I say all that to say this, because I didn't check the screw in top for the oil tank, we almost created a go-kart paperweight. Okay. We almost seized up that engine on that go-kart and made that engine completely useless because I didn't check one little thing. And just the chain reaction that happened because of that, because I didn't check the oil tank. That meant the sprocket guard fell off, which meant the fuel overfill bracket broke apart. I mean, the kart kind of turned into a mess. And it damaged some stuff. Again, luckily, not too bad of a damage. Nothing that we can't fix, and nothing seized up in the engine. So the engine should still be okay. We're probably going to send it away this off season now to get it refurbished or refreshed, I should say. But it just that quickly, it all spiraled out of control. And it really kind of makes you think about pre-trips. And there's things that we kind of ignore. Maybe we quickly go over them. We say, hey, that looks fine. That's good, whatever. Maybe we don't even do pre-trips. Okay, maybe you're just somebody who writes down that they did it, but they actually don't check anything. Shame on you. Okay, that's going to be on you. Pre-trips are so stinking important. Okay, I cannot stress how important a pre-trip is. Like I said, 1, because they're legally required to do. And 2, you forget to check something. And then, like I said, that domino effect starts rolling. First off, you don't have enough oil, which makes your engine overheat, which could really plug up seize up the piston, and then the pistons in the engine. And then you have to rebuild the motor. I know that may be kind of dramatic, but I've seen it. And you talk to any mechanic out there and they'll say the same thing, that they've seen stuff that if you just had looked at one thing, that you could have saved yourself a lot of other heartache, headaches, whatever. Is your coolant topped off? If it's not, you run the risk of overheating. Do you have power steering fluid? If not, your steering could get really bad. There's just so many domino effects that could come with pre-trips. Okay. That's why it is crucial to do them. And so what really needs to go into a pre-trip? Well, first off, you need to really check the engine compartments, okay? Making sure that all the fluids are topped off, okay, or where they're supposed to be. Maybe you shouldn't fill the oil up to the very top, because then you're going to have some other problems. But, check the coolant, check the power steering fluid, check here's one thing, okay? Here's one thing that a lot of guys always maybe seem to overlook, because I've heard this from some different guys. Check your windshield washer fluid, okay? You will be amazed at how much you need to use that, and you always need it right when you don't have any. Does that make sense? So make sure that you are checking your windshield washer fluid. It's such a good idea to just make sure all the fluids are where they're supposed to be. And if you don't know like what fluids you should be checking, it's a really good idea to check in with an actual diesel mechanic or someone that works at your company, whatever, and ask them to actually take you out and show you where all that stuff is in the truck. I highly recommend too that if you're a safety personnel person or even an operations person, go and really learn the trucks. Okay, go out to a truck, have a mechanic go with you or have a driver go with you, and don't be afraid to sound stupid. Okay, because if you don't know what is in those trucks, you don't know where those pumps are, where the fluids are, you are, I was going to say something, but I changed my mind. I was going to say you are stupid, but that sounds really mean. And I do not mean it that way. I mean, like, if you don't know something, you don't know it. And there's no shame in that. So that's why I don't want to say stupid. Okay. I'm not calling anyone stupid, unless you are, but that's a different thing. Anyways, no, you're going to be ignorant, and that's fine. Okay. If you don't know something, you're going to be ignorant about it. And I don't know who said this quote, but I do like the quote. It's, if you want to get good at something, you got to be willing to be bad at it. Okay. And it's such a good quote. And that kind of sums up my racing kart career up to this point. I'm still figuring it out. I think I'm actually quite heavy. It seems like all the guys that are winning in the karts have about 70 pounds less than I do. So maybe there's going to be some weight loss in my future. However, I think my karting days are going to be a little more few and far between, because next year all the boys are going to be in them, and I will just be the mechanic sitting on the side cheering them on, which is fantastic because I bought them for the boys, and I would love nothing more. I'm at that age now where things are fun. Like, it's fun to do cool stuff like that, but I really enjoy watching my kids like enjoy themselves and have fun and learn new things like that. And I'm sure maybe, if you're at that age too, where you have some kids that are starting to get into some cool stuff, maybe when they were like playing preschool soccer, I didn't really care too much, but now that they're actually doing cool things, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of becoming their biggest cheerleader. And the cool thing about all this is how I talked about Ewing safety before? They're helping us out with the go-karts as well. So really huge thank you to those guys and girls over there. Super cool people. Anyways, but no, you just don't be afraid to be ignorant about some of this stuff, okay? Because that's the only way that you're going to learn what needs to be done and how you can teach others what needs to be done when it comes to pre-trip. So looking at the engine compartment, okay, figure out what those are. Now, you don't have to know how to fix a truck. Guys go to diesel mechanic school and they know that, but just understand what you're looking at and what kind of leads to what. You know what I mean? That's always kind of what I like to know. But then the other things like going around, making sure that you're checking the tires. Make sure that they know how to check the tires. You have to have a hammer. Okay, that is the only way really to check the tires. You have to thump the hammer, and I can't explain it to you guys. Okay, I can't explain it, but there is a way to tell if you have low tires. You hear it. Okay, so I recommend going out and thumping the tires of good tires, and then next time you have a truck come in or a trailer come in with bad tires, go thump those, and you'll hear that difference. And that's really the only thing I can explain with those. But making sure that the tires are inflated is a huge one, because here's the deal. Pre-trip inspections. Hey, got a ladybug on my desk here. Does anyone else have massive ladybug issues going on right now? I know it's October, but they're everywhere. Anyways, sorry, I get sidetracked easily. The other thing with vehicle or with doing pre-trips is that there's literally an entire category in the CSA called vehicle maintenance. And all of that, I dare say all of it, 98% of that can be found. All those violations that are in the vehicle maintenance can be avoided if you do a pretty thorough pre-trip. Now, I will say this. There are things, there are issues, there are incidences that happen in transit. There are guys that, they'll call me up and say, hey, I just got pulled over. I have low air in my tires. I swear to you, I checked them this morning. They were good. Yeah, you could have ran over something. You could just have a bad tire that stayed inflated, that after a while of, just a little more wear and tear, you hit a big pothole, you hit just something right. Yeah, it could go down. There are things like that. But the overwhelming majority of things that can go wrong in vehicle maintenance, you can check in a pre-trip. Okay. Tires. That's the biggest one. If you have low tires, a lot of times if you have a tire issue, you're going to get put out of service for vehicle maintenance. And nobody wants that, because now you have to have a roadside inspection guy come out, or not a roadside, but a roadside mechanic come out and fix your tires, either fill them up or get you new tires. You never want to get roadside for tires, okay? Because it's going to cost you so much more money if they have to fix tires on the side of the road versus being able to go to a shop. And quite frankly, there are times when a guy will come out to fix a tire and he goes, oh, you don't have the tire that I actually have. So then you got to go back. Guess what? He gets to charge you for 2 trips, okay? So you always got to make sure you have that stuff. Brake cables, I should say, not braking, but brake cables. Those can sometimes get a little more tough to figure out. And if you have an issue with those, you're going to get put out of service as well in the vehicle maintenance. But, headlights. Do your headlights work? Do your blinkers work? Does the electrical cable that connects the trailer and the truck work? Do you have trailer lights? You would not believe, maybe you would not believe the amount of times or the amount of violations I've seen where trailer lights were out. And guys are like, oh, it happened in transit. Nah, it's a tough one to buy. Okay, maybe a wire came loose, or maybe a wire shorted out. Maybe. But did you do a pre-trip? Okay. When you plugged it in, did you turn your hazards on and take a walk around the truck and look and see if they were actually working? That's usually my first response to that. But like I said, 98% of the stuff in the vehicle maintenance CSA can be checked or can be caught in a pre-trip. And I will say this too. I don't have the exact stat in front of me because I'm not sure if it's out there, but I would venture to say that most of the violations, or let's put it this way, the vehicle maintenance category in the CSA has, I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I doubt I am, but there's a chance. But anyways, in the vehicle maintenance category, there are so many violations that can put you out of service, okay? And you do not want to go out of service for a couple reasons. One, the obvious one is you lose time, okay? You get put out of service for 10 hours, or you get put out of service for, that's usually more for HOS violations, but we're not going to get into that. But you get put out of service, okay? Now you got to wait for a roadside mechanic to come on out and fix you. Oh my word. That can take forever. And like I said, sometimes they don't even have the thing that you need. So that is a pain in the neck. Plus, here's the other fun little thing that goes along with that, is if you get put out of service on a DOT inspection, they automatically get to add 2 points to your severity weight. Now you're saying, what's severity weight? I'm going to go into that later on. Maybe I already have gone into that. I don't even remember. But basically, severity weight is between 1 and 10. 1 being the least severe, 10 being the most severe. If you, let's just say, I don't know, you have some braking issue, but it's only a severity weight of 5. They take that severity weight, they multiply it by the time weight, which again goes between 1 and 3. 3 being the newest. I think it's up to like 12 months. And then from 12 months to 24 months, it's 2. And then 24, no, I'm wrong on that. I think it's 1, whatever. It's 1 to 6 months, I think is a 3, 6 to 12, whatever. Something like that. All the new ones, okay? I don't have that in front of me. I know it. You know I know it. It's just, I don't have it in front of me. Anyways, you have the severity. They multiply that by the time. So if you got like a 5 on the severity plus the newest times 3, it's 15. Look at that. I can do math in your face. But if you get put out of service, they automatically get to add 2 points onto the severity weight. So now instead of 5, you have a 7. Now you got 7 times 3, which is 21. Look at that. I did math again. I'm on a roll. I'm going to stop right there. So it just adds up. Like if you get put out of service, it's no good. Okay. Can we just say it that way? It's just no good. So don't get put out of service. So that is why it's very important to do a pre-trip, because if you don't catch something and you get pulled into a DOT roadside inspection or weigh scale inspection, they're going to find it. And you do not want the DOT officers to find it. Cool. Also, I always say this too. Make sure you do that post-trip. Okay. Because things could rattle apart. Things could happen in transit. There's no doubt about it. You could get to somewhere, not have an inspection, get to your stop and go, son of a gun, I got a tire that's down. Or I got a tire, I can hear the leak coming out. Or I can hear an air leak coming out of the track, whatever. Like there's things that can happen in transit that you might not have gotten caught with, but you catch it now. And there's no better time to get that thing fixed when you are on a break. Okay. If you could put your truck into the shop while you're on a break, I know you're supposed to be on duty when that happens. Go get a hotel, okay, to, get off duty, whatever. Or, if you could drop your trailer, whatever. There's ways around that duty status. Not telling you to break the hours of service rules. Definitely not telling you that. But there's ways that we can make it legal and good for you. So I always highly recommend doing a post trip as well. I make my guys do it. It doesn't have to be, don't have to get underneath, be thorough, all that kind of stuff. Just walk around. Is anything leaking? Is anything low? Make sure that your trailer doors are secured. There's a lot of thefts going on right now. Just making sure everything looks right. That makes sense? So anyways, but yeah, that's kind of my spiel on pre-trips. Okay. I think they're super important, and obviously I think they're necessary and they're required. And they do a lot more good. So, and guys always say like, yeah, I know I'm always supposed to use like 15 minutes doing a pre-trip. Is that how long you want me to do it for? I always say, do it for however long you need it. Okay. I think a good pre-trip will take you 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, I really do. But if it takes you longer than that, go longer than that, man. I'm not here to put a maximum on that. Check everything. Make sure it looks good. Because again, I'd rather have you catch it than have a DOT officer catch it. And that's what will happen if you don't do a pre-trip. And from an operation standpoint, if you get picked up and you have a vehicle maintenance issue and you get a violation on that, they're going to be angry when they go back and look and see that you didn't do a pre-trip in your logs. They're going to be upset and they're going to go, this one's going to be on you. So that now you might have to pay for it. There's just a lot of headaches that come along with it. So make sure you're doing a pre-trip. Don't be like me with the carts and forget to check something and have it potentially cause a massive issue. Okay. Do your pre-trips, do them well. If you have questions on how to do them, make sure you reach out to somebody. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to somebody in your organization, but make sure that you are understanding what needs to be looked at and how thorough you need to look at it. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. It should. I think I've explained that extremely well. So anyways, hey, I'm going to leave you with this here, okay? It's a very popular Bible verse. I really enjoy it. It sometimes is misunderstood, but it doesn't really matter because it's so good. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can lift 5 million pounds or that you can do, whatever. Literally, Paul wrote that verse when he was sitting in prison. Okay. So he's saying, I can endure all this because I have Christ that strengthens me to do that. So maybe you're going through a hard season in life. Maybe you're going through a good season in life. I don't know. Hey, cool if you are. I'm sorry if you're not, but that's what that verse means, is that you can do everything because Christ gives you his strength and you can use that in your own life. If you have questions on how to do that, man, feel free to reach out to me. So anyways, stay cool out there. We'll see you next time.